Let's be real. This is standalone, not an actual official episode, but we have two Miami Heat fans on here. She did the actual Miami Heat fan, me, Jimmy Butler fan. So of course we had to come talk about the Miami Heat. Everybody knows the season just ended for us against the Boston Celtics, Game 7, a game that Boston led the whole game, and we had a shot to take the lead in the end. And Jimmy Butler missed the 3-pointer. So of course, the 3-pointer was questioned by a lot of people. So let's start with the series, man. The Celtics Heat series. What was just your thoughts on how this series went?
First of all, I will say I believe you became a Miami Heat fan the same day we met, and or I recorded the first time. I can't remember what it was.
It was around that time because you was in the room with Jimmy Butler. We was recording the episode, and we got to know catch Jimmy Butler signed with Miami.
Yep. Yeah, what karma, right? It came out back around. But if I talk about the series first, in totality, you are looking at two teams to me that were not looked at to be in the Eastern Conference Finals at all at the start of the season. And you think about what the Celtics went through. I know there's been a lot of talk about them since January. They were literally like 11th seed and crept all the way up to the 2nd seed. And Miami, they kind of like juggled their season, so to speak. But, eventually found themselves in the 1st seed, and that was awesome to see that. Now, the series itself, I'm not even going to say we gave away games. I'm just saying I don't remember where the heart of Miami was for a few of our games. And I would say more specifically, more or less, game 4 and game 5 were just like, where's Miami? Right? And to lose the way we lost game 5 at home was despicable. And to go down 3-2 to Boston hurt. The whole point of you getting the 1st seed was to have more home games. And to me, the way I saw the series going was I believed, and I'll say this again, I believed Heat in 7. How I thought it would play out, I really thought it would be a home, and then possibly a switch. And then we win it as well, game 7, clearly. But once we split those first 2 games at home, I was concerned a little bit, but I was like, it's Heat in 7, so this is going to happen. But then we won game 3. Great. But we hobbled after that. But as an athlete and as a realist, there are no excuses for injuries. Injuries happen. Injuries are a part of the game. And so Kyle Lowry being hurt, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, montage of people that were hurt. It's not even just the next man up. It's we're in the playoffs now. We're competing to go into the finals, and someone needs to step up. I will also say I was disappointed. I mean, we'll talk about this later. I was disappointed in Duncan Robinson's show when he came in. I didn't feel like he was looking for it. I don't feel like he was looking for anything. And you knew that Tyler Hero was hurt. You knew Kyle Lowry was down. You knew we needed offense, and he didn't produce at all. And I don't believe Victor Oladipo stamped himself this series. I think he stamped himself the previous series for what he needed. And so he was just kind of showing what he can do. But let's also call it what it is. We may have had possibly, you can go tit for tat, who's the most talented between Jimmy and Jason Tatum, but I'll probably give it to Tatum. But the Celtics show that they're the better team in this series. And even though we had the more experienced coach, we didn't have the team, and we have a more experienced team, to be honest. We have championship caliber winners. However, maybe Kyle Lowry is a champion. PJ Tucker's just won a championship as well, or both in their later 30s. But there was a better team in Boston, and they proved it. And especially when it came down to just answer and stop runs, they did what they had to do. Especially Jaylen Brown just putting his head down and just going to the cup was huge. And getting Max Strus in foul trouble many games was hurtful. Him or Jason Tatum, like I said on LBR, Max Strus, they put him in the washing machine. They put that spin cycle on, heavy rotation, no starch needed after that. And he was hung out to dry every time. And so, yeah, it just everyone's going to talk about it that Jimmy didn't have the help, and they are completely right. but they also need to make sure that you acknowledge that this Boston team is an actual team. It's not just 2 or 3 players. This is a team collective effort of 7 to 8 men that are willing to do what it takes, get on the floor, get dirty, take fouls, take charges, not afraid to, I'm not say keep shooting, but find other ways to find their shot as well. Even Marcus Smart scoring 20 points. Marcus Smart is supposed to score no 20 points. He's a defensive player of the year. He's not supposed to give you 20. That's disgusting for me to even say that, but it happened. But again, this was a better team, and they proved it. But hats off to Miami, because again, Miami started the season, even maybe midway through the regular season, was not a talk about them making it into the Eastern Conference Finals, let alone being 2 possessions away, 3 possessions away from being in the finals.
Yep. I pretty much got the same sentiments. As we know, the series started, it seemed like it was just the injuries. Both. So in the beginning, it was Boston. Remember, Smart's out the first game. Horford had COVID. Then they both returned the second game, and they blew us out. Then we got to game 3, and Robert Williams missed, and then Bam goes off 31, but Jimmy got hurt. Then we go to game 4. Somewhere in that blow, that was the more pathetic performance in my opinion, because the way they started off. Yeah, it's true. Games 4 and 5, we just didn't make shots. It seemed like we were just missing a lot of shots, but it's like, dog, like it felt like, because Jimmy said in that Philly series when they had lost, they had won game 5, and his post game interview, he was like, whether we making shots or not, we just gotta play defense, and we gonna win game 6. Just play defense, just keep playing defense. And it felt like games 4 and 5, especially 4, they kind of just like, because they were missing, that like the defense effort lacked. Game 5, I saw a little bit more effort, but it just felt like it was just deflated. Like, okay, Jimmy Butler wasn't playing well, and partly due to his injury, but he was just shooting bad. I think he shot 4 for 18. So just like, that one felt like more like just a bad shooting performance in game 5. I think game 4 is the one that was like, where was the effort? Like, they got up 2-1. Okay, we stole the game, Boston. Cool, we satisfied. Yeah. That's how they felt in that game.
Agree. Yeah. So like, we're okay with going home 2-2. Like that game 4 is so critical, because like you could have been up 3-1 at this point. Exactly. Right. But yeah, like I said, my fault. Going home 2-2 is not what we wanted. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, you good. And like I said, I think we was down 20-1, missed our first 15 shots the game. Like that was game 4 was the war. That was pitiful. Then game 6, I hit you up saying Jimmy need to do a LeBron-like performance. I didn't believe it. Like I said, that's my favorite player, and I'm not even finna act like I thought that was about to happen. He went out, dropped 47, so it was like, oh wow. He continues to shock me as my favorite player. Like, I think a couple years ago when we went to the finals in the bubble, and both of us kept saying like, he ain't a superstar, he's a sub. We kept off the ER. He was like, he's a substar. So yeah. This postseason, he's officially solidified. He's like, so even him as my favorite player, I never even thought of him as a true superstar. I knew like he stepped his game up at the right time, but I always thought he couldn't be a number 1 on the championship team. I think he can. I think he's proven to the last 3 years, like, okay, that's possible, right? So now get him some help, some consistent help, whether that's Bam and Tyler Hero growing, because Bam just need to be it's consistency. Tyler Hero is consistency and being healthy at the right time, but injuries like killed us in the end. Like Kyle Lowry and that hamstring, he just wasn't himself pretty much this whole season. He had a lot of personal issues because he was on my fantasy team. So although Miami did get a lot of games on TV, here in Memphis side, we didn't get to see Miami that much during the regular season, but he was always out with some type of personal issue or injury. Remember, Jimmy and Bam missed a whole month each, just about. So ultimately, they got tired. They kept fighting back. Honestly, like, Boston was the better team, but Boston really kept us in the series. So kept us in game 7. Like, that should have been over. 3 minutes, they were up by 11, and we still came back and had a shot to either tie or take the lead. Which at the time, both of us was like, "Oh, Jimmy, what you doing?" I was then.
Oh, I was hot. I almost woke up the kids, bruh. I was hot. I had to go outside. I'm on the living room couch as he pulled up that 3. And I had to go out of my house and go yell on the patio some explicit words because I was hot. Yeah.
I understand. I should sit there like, dog. I'm like, that's my guy. I got to go down with him. And then when I thought about it more, I was like, he played 48 minutes. He said I wasn't playing 5 more. I'm like, And it was, I mean,
Yeah.
hypothetically, it was actually it was a good attempt. Like, I mean, Al Horford was back on his heels. It was actually a good shot attempt. It was more so the moment. And
Yes.
like someone told me, if he had made it, we would have felt differently. I'm like, yeah, I could look at it. He played 48 minutes. He said, I'm about to go end this now. When to go home right now. Forget 5 extra minutes. I can't do it no more. I can't carry no. Like I've done all I can do right now. Like it's kind of like what you say.
I was gonna say, and let's not step away from. He just got done carrying us 2 nights ago, a night and a half ago, in Boston.
And that game, I think he had 35 in that game. And Bam actually helped him out some in that one. Then we were just missing a third person. But it kind of reminded like KD last year in Game 7 when he tried to end Milwaukee on that 3, but his foot was on the line.
Yes.
And remember overtime, he had nothing left. He went like 0 for 6, and you could tell like it was just
it was gassed.
Yeah, because he played the whole game. So that was basically what Jimmy was headed towards. And it got to a point where, the better final series would be Boston versus, and that's why I started thinking in Game 7. The better series would be Boston versus Golden State, because Boston, they got some tweaks and injuries, but this will be the first finals where both teams got players that can at least play to a certain level, although they're hurt. Robert Williams, he's hurt, but he's still playing on that defensive end like a monster.
That I do not. I'm gonna call him Mr. Doubtfire. I am not doubting him no more, man. That man controls that paint. But I hear what you're saying. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he had banned Spook, man, for whatever reason. But Miami Heat, if we got to the finals of like a Dragon Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, he played some Game 7. You could tell he wasn't that injury got him. And I mean, cause we had players questionable every game. I think Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, Gabe Vincent, and Matt Strus was questionable every single game.
Yeah, remember PJ Tucker actually really didn't even play in the second half because he was actually injured too.
Exactly. So it just came down to it. Like that was it. They dragged along as far as they could. So unfortunately, that's what happens. It's our second team, the Grizzlies. Same thing, injuries. Ja Morant, Desmond Bain playing with the back injury, and Steve Adams having COVID. Yeah, same thing. It kind of sucks when both of your teams lose in the same fashion almost.
Yes.
Like, injuries literally cost us our season. Like, not saying we would have won if the injuries didn't happen, but it's like, it played a big portion. But
agree.
Move forward for that. As for the season, Kyle Lowry said it was a failure because championship was bust, although he didn't play well. I understand the injury, but he ain't the person I want to hear that from. What's your thoughts about the season? Was it a success getting to where they got to, getting on 1 seed, getting the Game 7 conference finals with the hurt team, or was it a failure in your opinion? Was the championship a bust?
The Miami Heat over the years, and let's not, I mean, depending on who you are as a listener, if you're like really, really old, the Heat going to the championship is great. But if you're like, if you've been watching basketball only for like the last maybe 10 years since the Heatles, so to speak, you do see this team as a championship type of team, quote essentially. And I think it was a stat like since Pat Riley has been the owner, the last 27 years, we've been in the playoffs at least 20 of those seasons, and only the Spurs have been there and there more. And so is it every player gets dressed to win a championship. And so I understood where Kyle Lowry came from when he said the statement. It's crazy because you don't look at Kyle Lowry as an actual, like, that he won a championship, right? You look at Kawhi won a championship for the Raptors, but you forget, like, Kyle Lowry was the point guard, right?
And played well against Steph in that series. So.
Yeah. So talking about injuries, right? People were hurt in that series, right? So I think we got Kyle Lowry for exactly what he discussed. It's a championship of us. We're not paying for that contract without him actually taking us to the championship. So I'm all in agreement with him, and I agree that if we're not paying for a championship, that is an issue. And for us to come a few possessions short, to the point that you made earlier, Boston let us hang around, and we hung as much as we could, and literally, and we just didn't have enough bullets, so to speak, enough ammo for the gun. But I agree. Being a person that's been with the Miami Heat for many years and watching how we've gone, again, you don't make this type of trade. You have the 6 best players, so to speak, in the world. Well, not 6 man of the year, I should say, with Tyler Hero. You're content only by losing in the finals, not these conference finals, but the actual finals. And again, we're only a few possessions away from getting there. You even mentioned the multiple injuries, and those are offensive. Tyler Hero is one of our main facilitators for offense. So imagine if he's able to at least give you, 12 to 15, which is south of the numbers he normally gives. What that could have done. But again, injuries are a part of the game. Without injuries, this could be a completely different look. And so to me, yes, I agree with Kyle Lowry. I'm in agreement with him. This is a bust season. If we're not, so he was very particular with his word. He said not playing for a championship, not winning a championship, not playing for a championship. So in that essence, I do agree with that.
Yep. Partly agreeing with him, partly not. Mainly because should I pull up what he scored in Game 7? It's just wrong. It's just the wrong person speaking. I'm sorry. Game 6 he played well, got us to Game 7, boy. The rest of the series, I saw. You know what? Let me pull this ESPN article. I think he averaged 5 points throughout the entire playoffs.
Kyle Lowry has always done the same thing every playoffs. He never shows up at home. He gives you his most toughness on the road.
That man shot 26.7% during the playoffs on 5.6 points a game. It's just the wrong person saying it, man. I can't. It's partly it was championship bust, especially as you get the 1 seed. But when you have them injuries, it's like at some point it's like it was going to catch up. And throughout this series against the Celtics, it was just whammy after whammy after whammy. And for them to get as far as they did, despite all of that, I'm not gonna say it's a full-on success, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a failure. I think I would say this: I was satisfied when that season ended. Then I was satisfied. I was like, I didn't have no true disappointment. It was just like, I feel tired for them. Like I feel like I played 48 minutes with Jimmy Butler. Like I just felt I was just feeling like, bro, I see how they feel. I'm tired. That was grueling. That was draining. And it's like they literally gave it, in my opinion, they did give it they all up to the very end. And especially my favorite player, Jimmy Butler, especially him, he definitely did. Even Bam, we got on Bam. He showed up in Game 7. I can't.
He did. Yeah. What was his stat? You had the stat of that box score pulled up. I say he needed to go more for 25. I know he was close.
He had 25. I want to say he did because they said him and Jimmy combined for 60, and Jimmy had 35. So he had to have 25, man. I think he had for a rebound. So it's like, I know they fought to the end. And literally, so I would say I was satisfied. I could understand their failure, but me personally, I was pretty much satisfied with the result. And you just got to make the changes going forward to get past. Like I said, we got there 2 years ago, got swept last year, made some adjustments, got back to the East Conference Finals, and lost to the team we beat 2 years ago, who. It was the Celtics finally. For them, finally. It's the third Eastern Conference Finals in 5 years. So eventually, they were going to get over the hump with their young nucleus.
Just it had to be us. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So, which ironically, minus Kyrie, they the same four: Al Horford, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown.
That's crazy. And they made it. And even then, they made it without Kyle Lowry. Wasn't he hurt during that?
He
run anyway.
They lost to LeBron in Game 7. Then,
because I gave the Terry Rozier. That's how Terry Rozier scored that contract. Yep.
So I will say shout out to the Celtics. They finally made it.
Yes.
And especially they started the season struggling. They were like 13-13 at one point. They had like losing record and stuff, and they turned it around and
they bought in. So many times and I'm not saying it's us specifically, but we saw so many times talk about heat culture and what that is, and everyone always has these type of definitions. But the Celtics culture shift this year with their coaches, we're gonna take on the best and we're gonna win the best. We're gonna take on the challenge. And so I tweeted about this, but we got to give respect to the Celtics. First round, they swept 2 top 75 players of all time. Swept them. Not like a gentleman's sweep. They didn't win a single game. They won 4 straight games. The second round, they beat the champions from last year. Third round, they beat the number 1 seed at home in a Game 7 scenario. You cannot say anything less than fantastic for what they've done. And so I give them their kudos, and like I said, that coach and how he's had them built into whatever they want to call it, but they've they say we want to take on the best competition, and it's going to bring out the best in us. And
Right.
you have seen that time and time. I think a lot of people prior to this, even like this playoff, were still debating, is it Brown or is it Tatum, right? Like, are they going to get rid of Brown to get some more pieces for Tatum? Because I think they really were sold more on Tatum than Brown. And so, but I mean, if Brown didn't prove his worth, he can come to Miami. If he didn't prove it this season for y'all, I promise you, he can show it in Miami, baby. I promise you.
Right. That argument should be dead now. They should be tag team along with Marcus Smart, defensive player of the year, going forward, man. That's just roll, stay with your young guys. So like I said, just to recap Miami season, I didn't expect us to get the number 1 seed. I mean, you to go back the whole season, especially with all the. I didn't expect us coming in when the season started. I was like, we should be top 4 in the nucleus of the teams that could challenge to get to the finals. And I'd be damn, like Jimmy missed 26 games or 25 games. Bam missed 26 games. Kyle Lowry missed almost 20 games. And that's your 3 best players. And you found the way to get the 1 seed. Partly a huge reason Tyler Hero won 6 man a year, averaging 20 points a game. So
Gabe Vincent, Max Strus,
Duncan Robinson played in the regular season. Dead man, Morris before the whole Jokic stuff happened.
Oh God,
he was playing decent.
He was.
Oladipo coming in March. We started wondering, like, is Oladipo gonna show up? He's gonna be the X factor, and he definitely was on defense for sure. He still played well. He played. He didn't play well offense in the Boston series, but he had them locks on whoever he was guarding.
Yes, he proved his worth, and like I said earlier, he really proved his worth. I would say not in this series with the Celtics. Maybe even with the 76ers. Who was the first round?
Oh, Atlanta, when he came off, when he didn't play the first couple games, then Jimmy got hurt and he came in and finished the series off.
Exactly. Like from there on out, it was like, why are we not signing Victor right now? To me,
right.
So I agree.
So to move forward to off-season questions. So we had a couple questions about LBR crew members. This is not an actual episode, just standalone. So I just told them to give us some questions that they might have for us. Took young Tev Shakir said he needed our thoughts on top 10. He calls Kyle Lowry top 10 for those. He's called top 10. I don't know if y'all saw me tweeting him saying bottom 10. That's how he was playing. So yeah, what's your feelings about Kyle Lowry? And will he be on the roster next season?
How do we trade him away in a package deal with Duncan Robinson, to be honest, and get a high-profile player? Kyle Lowry, don't get me wrong, I get it. Gave us 18 and 10 in Game 6, and let's be honest, we needed that 18 and 10 from him. If we don't, then the Celtics are literally celebrating on that floor, regardless of what Jimmy was doing. Kyle Lowry brings toughness on defense, especially with drawing charges. And he's not afraid to go against taller people. And he's still averaging at least, I'm going to go on a limb and say 3 to 4 rebounds a night, which, you don't normally see. But he's not a top 10 point guard to me. And I know Tuka's somebody will name 10 players. I got you. Don't worry. Out coming soon. But it also is like, yes, Kyle Lowry got hurt. And do you give him another chance next season to try this again? Saying what he said about this being a wasted season, so to speak, because we're not competing in the finals. I like the attitude. And I wouldn't mind him coming back, but I wouldn't be opposed to a trade. If a trade was on the table with had him and someone else, i.e., I'm going to keep saying this, Duncan Robinson, because of the amount of money both of them have combined, can go get another player that can be a ball handler. Let's be honest here. You just talked about how we weren't supposed to be a 1 seed, right? With all the injuries. Gabe Vincent showed up. Max Strus showed up. Victor Oladipo showed up. Like, these are players that weren't getting tick before the start of the season, but really came into their own. Now, of course, people are going to start figuring out how to defend, and even they started to learn how to defend Max Strus a lot better too. But I would not be upset at the Miami Heat if there was a package deal that sent Kyle Lowry somewhere else, along with Duncan Robinson, for a younger guard that can create for himself and defense. And another name out there because I don't think they need him anymore. And just hear me out, Heat Nation. I know we've had this Beal conversation. We've had the John Wall conversation. Okay. Hear me out, because I don't know if you guys watch the basketball that I like to watch. But I think someone that can settle, even I think a straight up trade with Duncan Robinson would work, is to go to Cleveland and get Colin Sexton.
Right. Tell me what I was thinking. It. I was like, God, I was ready to mention Colin Sexton. I was like, I wonder if we talk about Colin Sexton, because that's exactly the second name I was thinking about when you said create. Play defense. I was like, Colin Sexton.
Colin Sexton, man, he's in Cleveland. Cleveland is really sold on Darius Garland right now. I think if there's an opportunity for us to do some type of smaller trade with that, like I said, I think Duncan Robinson contract meets what they need. They want more shooting anyway.
Yep.
I mean, go get Colin Sexton, man. And I mean, you live with Colin. You got Colin Sexton, and that gives a chance to keep Kyle Lowry for all intents and purposes. You can find a way to pay Depot and Strus as well. You run it back, especially if you get Colin Sexton.
Yes, for sure. I think he's probably up for extension too, but he'll probably need to prove it year anyway. So yeah, Colin Sexton was a exact thought that came to my mind. To answer Tu's question, I'm not completely out on Kyle Lowry for the fact that I'm looking at his contract at $28 million. He's probably not going to be able to get traded. Also, I know the value he can bring, even just toughness wise. Like, he did have an hamstring injury and boil down to it. If he was healthy, what we saw. If he was in shape, which Eric Spoelstra said he expects him to come back in shape. Cause my wife was getting on him. She was like, "Man, nah, he need to go. he need to get
he looked like he been on South Beach beaching.
Yes, he had.
Not the right way.
So I would say give him the opportunity, which he probably would get it anyway. But I'm not as completely out. It's like if he actually gets in shape and gets going for next season, just be healthy at the right time. I still think he could be productive. He's not going to be Toronto Kyle Lowry or what he was even when he was in Houston sharing time with Aaron Brooks. He's not going to be that.
Wow, prime. I can't believe you brought that one back. Wow.
Yeah. Or even Memphis Grizzlies Kyle Lowry, who I was still mad. I cooled off because I wanted him over Mike Conley, but that's story for another day. Mike Conley end up working out for both.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I'm not completely just like, I know he's probably gonna be back, so he's definitely probably will be back. I don't see a trade for him. Y'all have bought me to Duncan Robinson being traded because Duke was telling me that. I was like, I don't think nobody getting that contract, mainly because of the length, because he got 4 years left on that contract. I was like, sheesh.
He just signed him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, that's a long contract for a person who is out there for one skill set. But I think that is possible in Colin Sexton in Cleveland. Hey, we know Pat Riley. He gonna make a move. He saw Jimmy Butler out there trying to carry him. He's like, get him some help. He's 32. He about to turn 33. Like, he's getting older. And who knows, even a bigger trade with Tyler Hero getting packaged somewhere. But we'll get to that in a second. We back into it now. He asked realistically, who's a player that he can add that would make them better? Yeah. I think we just named one, Colin Sexton. If I think of another one realistically of a trade, it has to be trade. There's no free agent. If you find a way to bring back Oladipo, I guess in me, knowing Pat Riley likes to swing for the fences and get a star, like we said, Bradley Beal. I saw the article about Donovan Mitchell earlier. I have NBA Central muted, but somehow when Trevor tagged us in there, I still saw the tweets. I was very like, us said it, but like Donovan Mitchell, although I know the defense is he averaged 25 points a game. We can deal with one person who play defense. Defender. He tries some defense. I don't think he just James Harden out there.
Ouch.
John Wall would be cool, but his contract is so big. You can't trade unless they try. If they want to do a Kyle Lowry for John Wall, swap straight up. I actually wouldn't be. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
But that one, I think you still need some more. I think we still have to give him Duncan as well.
Yeah, and he stayed hurt. So it's just like Unless they buy him out and he comes on like Bido Depot did, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But really, I think we named him, in my opinion, Colin Sexton. Unless you got any other names.
No, I don't. This team doesn't need. Colin Sexton was like the biggest thing that I could think of that seemed the most realistic. But to your point, like you said, for people that know of Pat Riley and what he does, he swings for the fences and he pays well. I mean, to be honest, you just named Jimmy Butler's age. Jimmy Butler is due to make $50 million in like 2 or 3 years, based upon his contract. So I mean, he's coming down the pipeline with it. But again, if you get rid of someone like a Duncan Robinson, no offense to Duncan Robinson, man, you had a hell of a season than the other season, but you weren't beneficial for us during this playoff time. And if we can eliminate you and your contract and go ahead and get a Colin Sexton that I have no doubt in my mind is going to see the floor more than you are and is going to be able to create offense for himself. And he's a great defender. I think that's one of the things that is a knock on Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson is not a 3-and-D type of guy. He's legitimately just became a 3. And even that's shaky because that's like a 2.5 at this point for him. So the most realistic thing is to get Colin Sexton. But again, we know he's going to swing for the fences. And so you're looking at more of a Donovan Mitchell. You named him Donovan Mitchell, John Wall, Bradley Beal.
If he decides to leave. Well, a lot of it depends on player who. So all these players we naming outside of John Wall, Bradley Beal, Donovan Mitchell, and even Joel Embiid, throw that name, they have to say we want to go. Well, Bradley Beal's free agent, but kind of like Jimmy Butler, they can try and pull off some type of sign and trade, maybe.
Right.
But all 3 players will pretty much have to say, especially Donovan Mitchell and Joel Embiid, be like, I need to be traded. I want to be traded, and I want to be traded particularly in Miami. And then the deal. That's on the way that will pretty much happen. That's a chance that could happen, but I mean, realistic, we going with Colin Sexton.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I don't know how much Donovan Mitchell is linked to Miami. I don't know if it's because of D Wade ties. I know he loves D Wade, and D Wade is over to Utah.
You could easily see that.
Yeah, but like then if we get Donovan Mitchell. We're expecting Donovan Mitchell to be the guy after Jimmy Butler with
Bam.
And have we not already seen the scenario with Donovan Mitchell and a big and how that worked out? Now, don't get me wrong. Rudy Gobert does not have any offensive repertoire. I get it. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again. Y'all, Donovan, stay in Utah, build your legacy, be like a Dame Lillard right now. You know what I mean? Just get your money.
You take it far down because Jimmy still got some years.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I hope far down. Like Donovan Mitchell probably gonna be 30 by the time Jimmy out.
I hope so. I want Jimmy put on performances in these last 2 seasons, especially in the playoffs, that he deserves to get his jersey retired up there. And there's not even a question. That number needs to go up there.
Yeah, he well on his way. He's definitely like changed. I don't think he necessarily had, I guess the narrative of him being a bad teammate. He's definitely keep changing that. Everybody saw the argument in March, and even me, I got a little like, golly, why they had to go out and do that? But part of me was like, they straight.
Yeah, exactly.
a little squabble.
Right. And see what happened after that though. Right? We were that happened because of I think a 2 or 3 game losing streak.
Yeah, ended up in 4 games. Then we beat Boston at Boston to pretty much get the number 1 seed. Because if we lost the game, Boston had the 1 seed, and therefore it would have been Boston that had home court advantage, which I guess we lost game 7 at home. Lost 3 games at home, as a matter of fact. So
disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But it's crazy because then we won 2 games in Boston.
Exactly. So wow.
Yeah.
Good things, but last question by Skyler, bro. He said, how long will Udonis Haslem continue to take up a roster spot? I guess as long as he wants to. He don't want to talking about it's gonna take him a while to get over this.
Yeah, like he was about to go out there and play, right? Or even give him his game worn shoes to D Wade. I can't remember when that was. Udonis Haslem has been taking up spots on the roster for at least before COVID. He's not coming in there to do anything else. He is a certified coach player for sure. And I just don't think, I don't know how they would give him the money. If Karan Butler stepped away, I think Udonis Haslam can do it. And who knows if Karan Butler will go anywhere, but I like Udonis. I like Udonis's energy. I like what he has. He is a Floridian, like he is Miami to the death of him. And so I would love to see him still on the bench. I just would like to see him more in the slack and polo, without taking up a roster spot. Even though he's taking like a vet minimum, he don't really care. He ain't in it for the money. He's in there to be a fire starter for us, and we need that at times to wake us up. And so I would love to see him just more or less with the pants that are tapered and not ones that can just button off. Yes, sir.
All right. So I got last couple basically to end the show off. Basically about to go on the 5 series off-season questions.
Okay.
Looking at like the caps, the contracts of all the players, and seeing who all is a free agent this year. Including Udonis Haslam, but I ain't gonna, he's not gonna be a part of next time. So I kind of go through and just go down the list like, okay, do you think this player is gonna remain on the team next year or they're gonna leave? So PJ Tucker has a player option for $7 million. Do you think he's gonna opt in or become a free agent?
He's staying. It's a chemistry between him and Jimmy. He's staying.
Yep, I agree. Do you think Dwayne Dedman is a free agent? Who also have bird rights on him? You think he stays or he goes?
Interesting. He's not gonna make no money anywhere else for real. But we have another big though too.
Yep, I was gonna say Yurt.
So yeah, I'm cool with Dedman going. Because we have that other big fella down there, so we good.
Yep, I agree. I saw my guy Chris Drop Balls Pod, Miami Heat fan as well. He was saying that he was like he hope Yurt 7 takes the next step, and he I mean where he played no regular season, he played pretty well. So
phenomenal. He played phenomenal. Yes, I saw, and he's got a soft touch.
Yep. So I'm pretty sure. And looking at this roster, we got 9 undrafted players on this jump.
Yes,
that's wow. Out of 17 players, 9 undrafted. Them folks know how to get some undrafted people, man. But yeah, he was one of the undrafted ones. Another player, and Victor Oladipo stays, goes.
Oh, I mean, you gotta part the Red Sea for him, man. And his ability to, like, he could spell time for Kyle when Kyle wasn't playing well. He was able to defend what he brought defensively to Brown and Tatum or whoever he got switched on to. That's enough for me to say yes, he needs to stay and we need to find him some money. Yes, pay the luxury tax.
I agree. I don't think he's going to. He did enough where he's going to get more than veteran minimum. Probably like mid-level exception. I don't think he did enough where he's gonna get a big contract because he still ain't back yet, right? He's not back. And he can use next season, play a full season with the Heat to get back. And if he gets back to his even a resemblance of what he was, that might just be just internal improvement there, right there. Like
that's one thing we haven't really talked about. Like Victor is but Jimmy still a shell of himself right now. He's not as confident on offense right now. You don't lose your confidence on defense. You don't lose that. You take the best player and you defend him. And he wasn't scared of the challenge. That's what I loved about it. It was a challenge for him. Whoever he had to play. The Hawks, it was Trae Young. Sixers, whoever they wanted to put out there, even if it was Maxey or Harden, putting him down when PJ Tucker wasn't playing, and then Brown or Tatum. So you pay players like that. And I think the other thing that's in our corner with Oladipo is we are the team that actually gave him a chance and that he wanted to be with. So there's some type of partnership there. And if Pat, if you listen to Pat, if you guys had him to some years afterwards, give him somebody like how you doing, Jimmy, I would understand that. But I think Victor wants to be a lifer. And let's do it. I mean, not going to retire jersey yet, you know what I mean? But he come on down.
I agree with you. These aren't some questions, but I'm just going to mention Markieff Morris. I think I said earlier he was a free agent. He does have some free agent as well. And last free agent hold is Caleb Martin, who did average about 9 to 10 points a game this season and did pretty well in some of his playoff performances. So Caleb Martin, he stays or he goes. Oh, no, he's a restricted free agent, as a matter of fact.
So we had to match the offer.
Yeah, so
I don't
predict somebody offering him enough for him to go, or he's gonna be back.
Yeah, I don't think no one's gonna offer him that much money. He spelled and gave us some good time, good minutes, but he's offensively very inconsistent. Yep. Defensively, he's had some times where he's doing good, but other times he's not. I think he plays better in the zone, which means you're not as good on ball as you could be. And so I think he got a little bit more exposed, especially in the Celtics when he did get some time. So I'm okay with him staying or leaving, but I think he understands there's not a market for him. Just let me come home back. And unless you want to go play with your brother, unless that's what you want to go do, you can
I mean, he just left his brother, or he got traded from Charlotte.
Yeah.
He got the Miami. They'll say first year they didn't play together.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they want to tag back up again like the Morris brothers did in LA, not that they play on the same team, but in the same city, I can care less. Yeah, they can go.
Hey, I wouldn't mind. Caleb Morris, like I said, he especially in the regular season, he did pretty good.
Yes, he did.
Him and Gabe Vince out the bench together was really pretty good duo. So that's a nice depth piece. If they were to be able to keep him, that would be nice too. So, final question: Tyler Hero. It's about 3 different questions with him. Does he get the extension this out? Do they agree to extension this offseason, or he gonna be restricted free agent next offseason?
Man, if they could listen, I think this Colin Sexton thing needs to be more shed light on that more. If they pull off the Colin Sexton trade, then yes, you sign them to the extension because you're not really missing out on money like that. You put the money in now for the books and then build on. He just won 6th man of the year. That he's gonna want some money. And how we lost, yes, I think he gets
that's gonna help his case. But also what's gonna hurt his case is his stats in the playoffs before he got hurt and him getting hurt. So it's like your last 2 playoffs, you had one playing well. Even before you got hurt, you wasn't even playing well.
Yeah.
So I think I do agree. I think they're gonna come to this 2-end agreement on the extension that's gonna pretty much be both. It's not gonna be a max, it's not gonna be too low, it's gonna be probably somewhere in between that's gonna be pretty decent. And it could be the trade if they do make a big splash, it would probably be him. He'll be the headline along with the bad contracts and along with the first round pick that would go in a potential trade. But prediction, I think he'll get the extension as well. So
yeah. Yep. Unless I mean,
Pat Riley always does some stuff.
He does. I can't wait. I can't don't get me wrong, I'm gonna watch the finals, but after the finals, Pat Riley gets that checkbook out and he's on the phone, and I know what you be doing, Pat. But another thing you mentioned that I love that you talked about was Oladipo. Whatever development he can give you, I would actually. Tyler Hero right now out rebounds him, and of course points, yes, but he does give a little more rebounds. But Depot was the man with Indiana. He showed it with the Pacers. He showed it with the Thunder. And if you can have that come off the bench, just like you did with Tyler Hero for a little bit less, yeah, Tyler Hero does become a trade piece again, unfortunately. Because a lot of teams want Tyler Hero.
Yeah, exactly. So, it ends up working out. But I don't know, man, it does it. I appreciate you appreciate us being able to come on and do this kind of just an end of season. Like I said, we both the Heat fans on the podcast, so it's nice to just get a standalone episode instead of trying to fit it all into a whole actual episode while we talking about the NBA Finals coming up. So remember, y'all can this will only be YouTube only. This won't actually go to the podcast platforms, but feel free to subscribe to us on any podcast platform, specifically Spotify, Apple. You can rate us, give us a 5-star rating. Google, Stitcher, etc. You name it. Of course, subscribe and hit the notification buttons for us on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at LBR_media and follow me at @1_P_Shark.
Hey man, it's really shitty, man. Don't forget the Heat are going to be back next season. You can stamp that.
Yep, you definitely can stamp it. And till next time, y'all. Peace.